Hey everyone, welcome into Siren Records Monterey. It's Fresh Catch Friday, and if you're new here, hi, welcome. This is the channel where we discuss the new releases on vinyl that have either happened today, Friday, or within the last couple of weeks. There's new releases, reissues, represses, and we get into it a little bit. So there's a list down below that has everything in alphabetical order with the prices. Now, a little disclaimer this week for you guys. There's a lot of stuff here. So you're going down the list, and I had to skip through a few things because we can't sit here all night. I know you don't want to, and nobody wants any of that. So I'm going to go through it as quick as I can, but there are some holes in it, but you will see them on the list, okay? And we always start out with picks of the week, and my pick for you this week is by the great Silver Sun Pickups. It's called Physical Thrills, and this is on the New Machine Recordings label. Now, this is the 6th studio album for Silver Sun Pickups, and it's the follow-up to 2019's Widow's Weeds. This is produced by Butch Vig. You probably know. He's a guy that has worked extensively with Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day, Foo Fighters. Who am I forgetting? Garbage. This Physical Thrills, it really spans through this eclectic mix of very distorted synths and pop-tinged, very danceable tunes and pared-down ballads. It's a collection of kind of dream shanties, melodies that are all interconnected together with each other to make this into a cohesive body of work. They're a great band, and I think they're going to be playing local pretty soon. So this is a great, beautiful holographic cover. It's 2 LPs, and it is on violet colored vinyl. And it's a cracking good album, you guys. It's got the, you may have heard on independent radio, Scared Together and Alone on a Hill are on this. Okay, so beautiful record from Silver Sun Pickups. Next up, I would be remiss if I didn't just mention it. I have to have it as a pick. This is Madonna, Finally Enough Love on Rhino Warner Records. Now, this is 50 number ones remixed is what this is about. It's Madonna's achieving a record 50 number ones, 50, on the U.S. Billboard Dance Club Songs chart. Now, that's the most number of number ones that any artist on any Billboard chart has had. So the title derives from the lyrics of her 50th number one. I don't search, I find. And it's also the first release in a multi-year reissue campaign that Warner's going to have going for commemorating the 40th anniversary of Madonna's recording career. So here, the icon selects her favorite remixes from back catalog of club reworks, but her picks, they're kind of a curiously distorted look back at her history on the dance floor. It's so weird, this decision to kind of include remix edits rather than the full remixes. I mean, the whole point, of the remake is to create like extended jams that would work for dance floor and DJs alike, but that's the kind of like little disconnect that I've got going with this. But it's a 2 LP celebration of Madonna's club hits. The indie exclusive here, normally indie exclusive means it's colored vinyl, but in this case the indie exclusive comes with a slip mat. It's only one-sided, but it does come. That's the indie exclusive. Now, this also comes on silver vinyl. I don't have one to show you because it hasn't come in. I'm wondering if maybe next week it comes. But there's probably going to be a sticker. This one just tells you it's the indie exclusive. Okay, so those are my picks for you. Oh, and also that Madonna, you can get that on CD as well. And I think I'm going to be doing a giveaway for the CD, but I'm going to have to make a separate video for that because there's just no way we can get through all this and have it be able to be uploaded and with any kind of success. Anyway, we better get to it because we got stuff to get through. I've tried to pick a mixed bag of all kinds of genres for you, so let's go. The first one is the Armed Ultra Pop live at the Masonic. This is on Sargent House. The Armed are all set to release this. It's an incredible live soundtrack from the band's narrative-driven concert film of the same name. The album and film were captured in the opulent chapels, imposing asylum rooms, full-size indoor handball courts, halls, and more of the mysterious Masonic Temple of Detroit, a 550,000 square foot fortress in the heart of the city. Ultra Pop Live at the Masonic features these breathtaking hyperactive performances of tracks off the Arms' breakout album, Ultra Pop selections from their second LP, Only Love, and Cyberpunk 2077 single, Night Aliens, and culminates in the ultimate catharsis with the entire collective converging for the devastating closer called On Jupiter. All right, so that's here. Now, next up, this one is Belphegor, and it's called The Devils, and this is on Nuclear Blast America. It's a long-running diabolical death metal titans, Belphegor, here, and they unleashed their 12th studio album upon the masses, which proves to be one of the strongest and most elaborate in the group's career. This is on a limited edition red wine vinyl, and I don't know how many it's limited to, but they don't usually make all that many, so grab it while you can. This is Blackfield 5, and this is on the K-Scope label. This is that's the 5th studio album by this art rock band, Blackfield. They recorded over a year and a half period across 2015 and 2016. It's like Steven Wilson, who we often talk about as, the prog rock mastermind who headed up Porcupine Tree and his own stuff, and does like remixes for, we've had a couple of his remixed albums for Jethro Tull that we've featured on the channel a little while ago. Anyway, he's always got his finger in the pie for anything prog rock. So here he is again. This is another side project of his. Steven Wilson and Aviv Geffen, they reformed the art rock project with Tomer Z and Aaron Meidelman for this release, which includes 3 songs produced by Alan Parsons. 5V, whatever, however you want to say it. It is 5 because it's their 5th. They are welcome return to the consistency of 1 and 2, being an elegant return to form for Blackfield while brightening their sound just enough to have them remain recognizable. So, yeah, that's a thing. Let me see, I should put that there. Okay. This is Bouncing Souls, self-titled. This is on Epitaph, and they're an American punk band from New Brunswick, New Jersey. They formed in 1989. By the time their acknowledgement on the national punk rock scene, they had kind of reignited this pogo element of New Jersey punk rock by playing fast, lighthearted songs. And now this classic self-titled album, their third and their first for Epitaph, which came out in 1997, is this new 25th anniversary pressing, and it's on light gold vinyl. And then we have Bow Wow Wow, I Want Candy. This is on the Cleopatra label. It's an essential career retrospective of these 80s rock sensations, Bow Wow Wow, both in the studio and on the stage. Features freshly recut versions of the band's massively popular single, I Want Candy, as well as fan favorites like Do You Want to Hold Me and C30, C60, C90 that kind of was a homage to cassette tapes. They used to be in 30, 60, and 90 minutes, so that was about that. Anyway, they have thrilling live versions of Go Wild in the Country, Mile High Club, and more. This is on unique pink and black stripe. Well, this is what it looks like, and on the sticker, they're calling it 2-color pie slice vinyl. Okay, but then that's what it is. Okay, now this is an interesting piece. This is Stokely Carmichael, and it's called Free Huey, and this is on Motown Records. It was originally delivered at a Free Huey rally on February 17th, 1968 in the Oakland Auditorium. Stokely Carmichael opened his speech by calling for the celebration of Huey P. Newton's birthday, not as Huey Newton the individual, but as Huey Newton, part and parcel of Black people wherever we are in the world today. Now, this passionate critique of American racism, imperialism, and capitalism was originally released by Motown Records' Black Forum in the 1970, the year Newton's conviction was reversed. And it's on this, what they're calling apple red vinyl. It's a gorgeous color of red. It's much deeper than kind of the translucent reds that you see all the time. This is it's a really good looking piece of vinyl. So that's available now. Next up, this is Eric Church, and this album is called, I guess, I don't know that it's that, is that called an ampersand, the something like peanut butter jelly, that little symbol? That's what this is. I don't know why you would call your record that, but whatever with it. It's through EMI Nashville, and Eric Church releases the album on the N album here on 180 gram black vinyl for the first time. This is part of the Heart and Soul album collection that came out in 2021. But the N album has never been available outside of the church fan club. Probably because nobody can fucking pronounce it, whatever. The vinyl includes 6 tracks and it's a must-have album for all fans, and it completes the Heart and Soul collection. Okay, and that's on straight up black vinyl. All right. Oh, you know what? I guess the reason it's called that is because wasn't the collection, we've talked about I think one was called Heart and one was called Soul, and this must be the N, Heart and Soul. Okay, well, okay. This is Cobra Starship. It's called Hot Mess, and this is on Fueled by Ramen and Decay Dance that I don't think is around anymore, but that's where it first came out on. This is an anniversary record. It's the 3rd studio album by the American musical ensemble Cobra Starship. It was originally released in 2009, and if you love to party, this 3rd effort from Cobra Starship screams party right from the blast off. It's a complete success that shows that a band could possibly grow past the comedy and become something else entirely. You know, the singer in this band, it's a little too much of that kind of wry wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of humor. And how much of that can you really take before you get bored? But at least this album starts to get away from that and show a little more growth. So this is on limited edition silver vinyl, featuring 2 unreleased tracks, one called Party With You and one called Beautiful Life. And this is a great reissue here. This is Dope Lemon, Houndstooth, and this is through BMG Rights Management Australia. Okay, this is a side project of Angus Stone, who you may know him from work with his sister, Angus and Julia Stone. That is what they record under. This is a 5-song EP originally released in 2017. It's a collection of songs with rich instrumentals and just well-formed, crafted songs and melodies. And here Stone combines flute, horns, and melodic bass to produce a South American funk vibe on percussive opener that's called Home Soon. And then Neon Lights follows. And that's bringing a change of pace with a guitar line, softer vocals, and very charming lyrics. And it really demonstrates Stone's strong songwriting abilities. So overall, this shows some true artistic showmanship on this EP. Each track captures an experimenting element with sound and creating a strong visual reaction. It's a bold, but in a subdued way, and what he does so well. So this is on transparent neon lime green vinyl, and it's really good. All right, this is Dub War, Westgate Under Fire, and this is on Earache Records. The first album of new material in 26 years, 13 tracks of politically charged hip-hop influenced punk metal, led by one of the greatest frontmen in metal, Benji Webb of Skin Dread. Okay, and then we have Five Finger Death Punch. This is called Afterlife, and it's on Better Noise Music. This is the 9th studio album by American heavy metal band Five Finger Death Punch, and it is the first album since 2007's The Way of the Fist not to feature longtime lead guitarist Jason Hook, who was replaced by Andy James in 2020. Okay, so in terms of style, little has changed. Their success formula, and the fans get exactly what they want. Songs with clear structure, high sing-along ability, and there's nothing wrong with that, but these guys know how to match the level of their past albums and maybe even top it here and there. But Afterlife is more experimental than past efforts, and the band sound has largely remained the same throughout their career. In spite of that, they've their talents still, shine through. The right measurement of, the chest beating anthems and ballads ensuing their legions of fans will stay happy. I mean, it's what their fans want, so it's what they do, and that's the complaint about them, is that they don't really change it up too much. But like I said, it's what their fans want. This is exclusive 180 gram canary yellow vinyl, 2 LPs, and it's at 45 RPM. Okay, now this is like a real cool thing. This is Floggin' Molly, Drunken Lullabies. This is on side 1 dummy. It's a 2002 album by the Irish-American punk rock band Flogging Molly. Their first album to feature guitarist Dennis Casey. It reached number 157 on the Billboard charts. It has since been certified gold. Flogging Molly's songs are centered on layering of traditional as well as Celtic instruments, and usually it's like a verse is sung before the full band kicks in. This layering of these sounds gives the music a real sense of urgency. The songs thicken and speed up as they progress, and it's obvious comparisons, can be made to like the Dubliners, the Pogues, Stiff Little Fingers, Dropkick Murphys. That kind of realm is what they're in. But anyway, this is through Side One Dummy, and they have pressed it on this gorgeous vinyl that I have to show it to you. It's so pretty. It's on what they're calling Irish flag splatter vinyl. But have a look at this. It's just really something else. Isn't that cool? I think that just looks so good. Really, really good looking piece of vinyl. Okay, so, and although, it's not brand spanking new music, it's still, a lot of people, we just blow Flogging Molly out the door as soon as it comes in. Sometimes you have to wait a while for the replenishment of that, but it's here for you now, okay? Now we have Gravy Train, self-titled. This is Future Shock Vertigo label. Gravy Train are forgotten progressive rock artists of the 70s. Their debut album is incredible. It's a kind of mixture between Jethro Tull and Traffic, but with their own kind of unique style. There's a lot of unique sounds, and the content is greatly stepped forward from just blues rock. Music is rich in variety, and the performance is high in the density. It's very fine work of art rock. It's an excellent addition to any prog rock music collection. This is on gold vinyl, and it's limited to 500 copies. This was almost going to be a pick for me this week, but this is Hot Chip Freak Out release, and this is through Domino. 8th studio album from Hot Chip. It's another dizzying high in the multi-decade career that's seen them continue to innovate and develop rich and resonant songcraft. And while they continue to operate at peak form, the album also feels like a new chapter for the group. It's a collection of flesh and blood songs that finds the band reaching into the darkness to emerge as a true creative unit. Their gaze is fixed positively on the future ahead, which is nice for a change. They're not being a crybaby like a lot of other, artists are these days. Limited edition, 2 LPs on brown vinyl. It features exclusive vinyl-only track that's called The Most Painful Game, and it has a download. I don't know why people put stuff on brown vinyl, though. It's just, nothing really appealing about that. But there you go. Here's Early James, Strange Time to Be Alive, and this is on Easy Eye Sound. This is Alabama's native son, Early James, returns with his sophomore album. It's the lyrical wordsmith conjures the ghosts of the great Southern Gothic writers from Eudora Welty to William Faulkner, while channeling the haunted spirits of Tom Waits and Townes Van Zandt. The album invokes a timeless composite of forsaken blues, wistful folk, and Tin Pan Alley crooning, anchored by the singer's unmistakable voice that sways from gravel-filled shouts to pained, forlorn whispers. This was produced by Dan Arbach, who's half of the Black Keys, and this one is also on what they're calling hardwood brown swirl vinyl. Okay, get away from the brown, guys. Enough already. Okay. Then we have, this is Fela Kuti, Fela Kuti, Ro Forofo Fight. This is on Knitting Factory Records. It's the 50th anniversary reissue of this. It's an album by Nigerian Afrobeat composer and bandleader and multi-instrumentalist Fela Kuti in Lagos, and originally released on the Nigerian EMI label Jofabro in 1972. It's true that Fela's early 70s records kind of tend to blur together with their similar groupings of 4 lengthy Afro-funk jazz cuts. And in its defense, this has to be said, while a few artists can pull off similar approaches time after time and continue to make it sound fresh, but Fela Kuti is one of them that can. Each of the 4 songs on this album clocks in at 12 to 17 minutes long. And there's a slight slide towards more 70s sounding rhythms and beats of the title track and the varied drums in Go Slow. There's just a hint of reggae in the pace, vocal delivery, and these ethereal keyboards and melodic lines. The James Brown influence is very strongly heard in the lean guitar strums and the horn. The horns, they have them cooking in a way that might have led James Brown. He might have been more inclined to let his band go improvisational if, if that was like a thing for him. But I think he ran a tight ship. He wasn't having that. So this is anyway on transparent orange and green double vinyl. And here for you now. And I know that is going to fly. Okay, this next one is Lightning Bolt. It's called Oblivion Hunter. It's on Thrill Jockey Records. It's the first EP by noise rock band Lightning Bolt. It was originally released in 2012. The record was advertised as an EP, although it is kind of the length of an average album, but the EP is a collection of unreleased material recorded in 2008. It redefines what it means to be DIY with them, an utterly singular band in every way. Their unbridled creativity, the energy propel them past most categorical boundaries, least of which boundary between band and audience. So theirs is an immersive experience, a sound so huge it can absolutely swallow you up. Now this is on black or rainbow splatter vinyl, and it's got the alternate covers too. So I would have thought this one would have been the rainbow splatter vinyl one, but this is the black, this is the rainbow splatter, and it does tell you, there's a sticker that says limited edition color, and it has Thrill Jockey, but the other one, as you can see, the back is just, that's the black one. This one is the rainbow splatter. Just kind of counterintuitive to what the covers look like, but that's okay. All right, this one is Lara Lynn, and it's Something More Than Love. This is on Ruby Range Records. She's a Texas-born Nashville songwriter, and she writes about the joys and trials of new parenthood here on her 6th album. Something More Than Love, it began as a song about her absolute surrender to the realities of new motherhood, but it quickly kind of morphed into a song about shared experiences that bind us together. And it's a story of a life cycle that repeats, every termination point becoming a starting line, every edge giving way to a circular slope of the Ouroboros. Ouroboros is that circular symbol that kind of depicts a snake swallowing its own tail. That symbol, you've all probably seen it. And that it's used especially to represent the eternal cycle of destruction and rebirth. And where she used to dwell in the shadows, on this album she's basking in the daylight a little more. Within that brightness she finds plenty of different textures and sounds, and creating music that's every bit as atmospheric as her earlier records, but it kind of carries this appealingly lighter vibe to it. So then we have the Mountain Goats. This is called Bleed Out, and this is on Merge Records. And it's all the pent-up energy and explosion executed by a bunch of friends who are mainly happy to be in a room making music together again, and loud noises. So in January of 2021, just weeks after John Darnielle had started writing, his bandmates joined him at a studio in the woods near his home in Chapel Hill. Everything was finished inside a week for this record. One song about preparing to exact bloody revenge begat another song about the act of exacting bloody revenge, and then more songs about the causes and the aftermath of being driven to exact bloody revenge, each delivered with urgency and desperation and deserving of their narrators and circumstances. So this is 2 LPs, and it is on Tuscan yellow vinyl. All right, next up we have Oasis, Be Here Now, 2 LPs. This is on Big Brother Recordings Limited. They're reissuing a 25th anniversary edition of their 3rd album, Be Here Now. It was released in 1997, and it was a famously overblown and rather bloated album. It reached #1 in the UK album charts, and spawned 3 British singles of Do You Know What I Mean, Stand By Me, and All Around the World. Only Stand By Me failed to reach #1 in the singles chart, and even then it was hit at #2. While history hasn't been kind to the album from a critical point of view, Be Here Now was certainly a commercial colossus. It apparently generated more sales in the first 7 days of release than any other album in UK chart history. That's how massive Oasis were in 1997. There was a 2 LP reissue back in 2016 that was reissued across a number of formats, including this massive box set you might remember. Anyway, this new silver colored 2 LP set uses the same mastering as in the 2016 version, and it's on silver vinyl. All right, this is Oingo Boingo, Good for Your Soul. This is through A&M, the third studio album by American new wave band Oingo Boingo, originally released in 1983. It's fun, wacky, energetic, and unique. That's Oingo Boingo in a nutshell. It's basically one great big dance party new wave album, and it's possibly their most consistent from beginning to end. Remastered, limited edition of 500 on tan, yellow color, and color vinyl. Color and color, I don't know exactly what that means. It could be that it starts tan in the middle and goes out to yellow, something like that. I'm not really sure. Okay, now this is One Line Drawing. This is The Volunteers. It's through Jade Tree. 2004 album. It's basically one guy, Jonah Mantranga. His popularity, while not on the level of like similarly minded semi-acoustic, troubadours, it grows with each passing day, and each MP3 pass-through instant message. Kids go to online drawing shows for the experience and the participation. He stops mid-song to explain things, combats, and even seems to encourage heckling, and always allows his little R2D2 to make an appearance to make every member of the audience feel special. Now, if you go into it with the mindset of this is a pop record, you'll be fine. If you're looking for anything more life-changing than that, you're in the wrong place. This complaint that you always hear about this is that every show is exactly the same. There's no deviation, even from the remarks in between songs. So, it's a little bit, I don't know. Sometimes people kind of question the guy's integrity. Let's say that. Okay, this one is on Marigold vinyl. And then there is also the 2002 release of Online Drawings album called Visitor. And it's the same story pretty much. It's on blue vinyl though. All right, now this is Panic at the Disco, Viva Las Vengeance, and this is on the Fueled by Ramen label. It shows the change in process for frontman singer Brendan Urie, having cut everything live to tape in Los Angeles alongside his friends and production partners. The cinematic musical journey is about the fine line between taking advantage of your youth, seizing the day, and burning out. The songs take on an introspective look into his relationship with his decade-plus career, including growing up in Las Vegas, love and fame. And you can get this on black or coral vinyl, and the depiction here is this one. You see, that's the black, and it's just the sticker that, says that. On the coral vinyl, it actually tells us it's on coral vinyl. So that's how you can discern what's going on with that one. Okay. This is Pelican, and this is called Australasia, and it's their debut album, originally released in late 2003 by Hydra Head Records. It's a landmark record in the shifting tides of heavy music that took place at the turn of the millennium. 20 years since its release, and with several sold-out represses, Australasia is a proven essential for any listener exploring the bounds of rock music. It's now issued as a deluxe double LP, newly remastered for vinyl and complete with 3 never-before-released bonus songs, including a remix by James Plotkin and digital downloads of early Pelican live recordings. Artwork is by Isis Sumac, Hydra Head founder Aaron Turner. This is on orange with yellow and black streaks vinyl, and it says that on the barcode down here. I believe that's the only way it comes, but just in case, it's nice to have it confirmed on a sticker. All right, this is the Oscar Peterson Trio. It's called We Get Requests, and this is the Verve Acoustic Sound Series, and it's on Verve. Producer Jim Davis put an emphasis on recreating the live sound of the Peterson and his trio for this album. Peterson bassist Ray Brown and drummer Ed Thigpen had been together 5 years and performed like a well-oiled machine. And listeners are treated to mostly pop songs of the day, including bossa nova tunes and film themes with a focus placed squarely on the melodies. Verve's acoustic sound series features transfer from analog tapes to and remastered to 180-gram vinyl in deluxe tip-on gatefold packaging. So that's a nice piece too. All right, next up we have REM Chronic Town through UME. This is the picture disc of Chronic Town. It's the debut EP by REM. This is a 45 RPM picture disc, as you can see. There's this. This is the back. There's the front. It was recorded at Drive-In Studio, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in October of 1981. As a debut release, this was an anomaly, a record that didn't quite fit into the constraints of what was being played on the radio at the time. So instead of trying to fit into a genre, they kind of helped to create a new one that would really become their, a forerunner of classic college rock, okay? The follow-up to their breakthrough single, Radio Free Europe. This came right after that. And it served as an entry point to what would be one of alternative rock's biggest bands. And this is also available on cassette, okay? And then we have Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers. This is on Omnivore Recordings. Now, back again on vinyl, his debut with the Modern Lovers still sounds every bit ahead of its time as the last time it was reissued, and the time before that, and the time before that. The band, their style features addictively infectious beats, very catchy tunes, and outrageously bizarre and sometimes hilarious lyrics. Some of his later stuff might be more sophisticated and even exotically folksy. And you might know him from, that movie, Something About Mary. He was the sort of guy that would pop up and be singing songs in the middle of scenes and stuff. That was Jonathan Richman. It's easy to discern the influence of this album and what it had on, like, the Violent Femmes, for example. But you'll hear kind of some Velvet Underground. He was coming up in the same time as, like, the Stooges and Velvet Underground and stuff, but he had such a quirky, different way about him. Kind of underrated, but, kind of an acquired taste, too. And, some people never can get into him because he's a real oddball. But there it is. All right. This is Wayne Shorter, Adam's Apple, and this is part of the Blue Note Classic series on Blue Note. Wayne Shorter set a high bar with his first several Blue Note albums, which included Night Dreamer, Juju, and Speak No Evil. But 1966's Adam's Apple, featuring Herbie Hancock, Reggie Workman, and Joe Chambers, immediately joined the ranks of the saxophonist's greatest recordings, from grooving title track to his enduring composition, Footprints, is on here. This Blue Note Classic vinyl edition is stereo, all analog, mastered by Kevin Gray from the original tapes and pressed on 180 gram at Optimal. And then we have Silverstein, Misery Made Me. Again, this one has explicit lyrics, so be careful if you're sensitive to that about getting your kids' music. There's no parental advisory sticker on this, I'm just telling you. This is on the UNFD label. So post-hardcore lifers, Silverstein, they don't sugarcoat hard truths. It's been true across the Canadian band's various previous studio albums, but it's especially so on this new music. It's weighty, gritty, and more emotional turn from their last pop-influenced 2020 release that was called A Beautiful Place to Drown. Misery Made Me returns to a place of heavy, nostalgic bliss, flanked by themes of personal miseries, in part a declaration that they will not be buried by them. So it's on an indie-exclusive Opaque Aqua or Opaque Tangerine vinyl, and the Tangerine one is limited to 2,500. And here you will see there's the blue one, that's the indie exclusive, and here the sticker is the Tangerine, okay? All right, now we have Slipknot. This is Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses. This is on Roadrunner, the third studio album by American heavy metal band Slipknot, originally released in 2004. It's the band's only album produced by Rick Rubin. And there's so much going on throughout the volume, through that, so many ideas, so much to hear. It takes several listens to fully take it in. On the first listen, it feels very fractured and unfocused, and on the second, it sounds like the metal album of the year. So one thing that is certain is that Slipknot have made this ambitious attempt to move things forward. At least 2/3 of it is still comprised of the head-spinning speed metal, but there are signs of like genuine progression here, not to mention progressive rock. So it was kind of a polarizing album. Some people find it, just too, I guess when they focus on something more melodic, sometimes it just divides the opinion of people and they sort of think that they're selling out. And anyway, this is on limited edition Orange Crush double vinyl. So check it out. It was, like I said, people were very divided about that record. So, Strappin' Young Lad, heavy as a really heavy thing. This is on Listenable Records. It was a Canadian extreme metal band formed by Devin Townsend in Vancouver in 1994. They started as a one-man studio project. He played most of the instruments on the 1995 debut album here, and by 1997, he'd recruited permanent members in this lineup, which consisted of Townsend on vocals and guitar, Jed Simon on guitar, Byron Stroud on bass, and Gene Hoglan on drums. And it lasted until the band's dissolution. The music was characterized by the use of polyrhythmic guitar riffing and drumming, and blast beats and wall of sound production. He was also noted for his eccentric appearance and onstage behavior, that Devin Townsend. It greatly contributed to their intense live performances. They gained critical success and growing underground fan base from their 1997 album City. After a hiatus between 1999 and 2002, they released 3 more albums, reaching their commercial peak with 2006, The New Black. Townsend disbanded Strappin' Young Lad in May of 2007 to announce his decision to retreat from public view while continuing to record solo albums. The Listenable Records label has been delighted to reissue this, and on deluxe limited edition vinyl. A brand new vinyl master has been made for each album, and this is the last one of the series. And what an incredible debut album. Sheer madness. You can grab this one now, and it's on transparent blue vinyl. Okay, now this is Trauma Harness, 10 Years of Trauma on Lumpy Records, from Belleville, Illinois. Trauma Harness, they're a trio. They're kind of going to the outer regions of post-punk from, say, 1979 onwards. 10 Years of Trauma is a collection of tracks taken from the group's 11-year career, compiled by Lumpy's Martin, and it is a bewilderingly brilliant collection. It's strange stuff, and if you want to get into something odd, there you go. Okay, this is a Various Artists, and it is Sun Records 70th Anniversary Compilation Volume 2, curated by music supervisors on the Sun Records label. Okay, so it's a collaboration between Primary Wave and their community of music supervisor friends. 10 expert supervisors who have worked on projects like Breaking Bad and Ted Lasso. They pick their favorite tracks from the Sun Records catalog, featuring artists like Johnny Cash and Roy Orbison, with liner notes explaining their choices. 180 gram vinyl cut at 45 RPM. Now we have a whole slew of War reissues, and they're all on the Avenue Records label. And I will just, let me pull this down so we can kind of blast through. First one is All Day Music, the 4th album by the funk group War. Was released in November of 1971. It was the 2nd album without Eric Burden. Though War were just getting started as an independent act, this album shows all the sides which make them great. Excellent dirty funk, amazing singles, and left field curveballs all come together to form one of the strongest funk albums of 1971. The only real misstep is the final live recording that they put on here of Baby Brother. It's kind of seems out of place with the rest of the record, but still, it's a strong one. Next, this is War, Deliver the Word. This is the sixth studio album released in 1973. It's an outstanding album split between their two definitive styles. It ultimately delivers a vibe and a groove and an intent, and it's really, irresistible. It's a magical ride with plenty of surprises to keep the listener on your toes, and this set is a perfect example of a band at their genre-fusing best. Then we have The World is a Ghetto, and this is the fifth album by The War, released in late 1972. The instrumental technique and vocal harmonies are rich and excel in quality, yet at the same time, it feels kind of a little unpolished, and you can see in the song's opener and the closer especially, but however, it's not a bad thing at all, as it reflects this humble idea behind the album and the band as a whole. And World is a Ghetto, that was a big single for them too, and the Cisco Kid is on here as well. Then there's Self-Titled War. This was the first release following the departure of Eric Burdon and the group's name change from the original Eric Burdon and War. And it was released in 1971 also, although it was never a hit, topping out at number 190 on the charts, or it never yielded any substantial AM radio hits. But it's musically imposing in its sheer breadth and its boldness. It melds the new and the best of the old, and it updates and incorporating songs, arrangements, and ideas that dated well back to the prior decade, the group's origin as the Creators and Night Shift. And finally, the one called Why Can't We Be Friends? And this is the seventh studio album, and it was released in 1975. And it's a real stew of jazz, funk, and Latin music on this one. Some underdeveloped ideas bring this album down, but it still has its moments. And, it's undeniably sublime. It's a departure from the protest and outrage of their contemporaries and themselves to some extent to create something truly happy. It's just a great time. And this is the album that yielded the single Lowrider that was so popular for them, and also Why Can't We Be Friends? Now we have a brand new Waterboys album called All Souls Hill. Now this actually came out a couple of months ago. It's just been very late to the party coming in. It's on Cooking Vinyl. Latest full-length release for Mike Scott-led folk rock band, the Waterboys. It's almost in kind of Bad Seeds territory. Those two bands, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and the Waterboys, they were formed in the same year and almost certainly were aware of one another. And the lyre on this is a swipe at Donald Trump, but it avoids sounding kind of latecomerish by turning him into this folkloric figure. It's interesting. Passing Through does the opposite, giving political relevance to an old song. This is on red vinyl, and they're still making some great music, the Waterboys. Okay, this is Larry Young. It's called Unity. This is part of the Blue Note Classic series on Blue Note. Until the emergence of Larry Young, the Hammond B3 organ tradition was firmly rooted in soul jazz, but he brought a new perspective to this instrument by placing it in an adventurous post-bop context. His 1965 masterpiece, Unity, it cast a modern jazz masters with Woody Shaw on trumpet, Joe Henderson on saxophone, and Elvin Jones on the drums. It's a vinyl edition. It's all in stereo, all analog, mastered by Kevin Gray from the original master tapes and pressed on 180-gram vinyl at Optimal. And then this is interesting. This is Neil Young and the Restless. It's El Dorado, and it's on reprise, available for the first time on vinyl. In April of 1989, Neil Young released a 5-track mini album, El Dorado, on CD in Japan and Australia under the name Neil Young and the Restless. It's full of like real feral distortion and earthy crunch. It's parts of it are like nothing you've heard. Holocaustal, post-apocalyptic ruptures and mangling big like swaths of feedback and random distortion. And it's a reckless weather of kind of psychotic abandon. It's a real heavy kind of little EP here. But anyway, available on vinyl if you've been waiting on that. Then we have Zanny, How Do I Get That Star? This is on the Kill Rock Stars label. Zanny owns this debut record under their own name, as well as the first release with Kill Rock Stars. They performed as Potted Plant previously, and they co-helmed the band called Really Big Pinecone. This latest effort is self-produced. It features contributions from friends in New York, as well as Zanny's brother Sam, who plays bass and also mixed the record. So it was made over the course of 4 years. It's like a slow burn, this one. The record deals with feelings of pining for the unknown and the mystical and the mundane. Anyway, this is on clear purple vinyl, and yeah, it's finally finished their 4-year quest, I guess you could say. Okay, so that's all I'm going to tell you about today. Read the list. There's more, and we just wanted to kind of get to it and really try to pare this down a little and keep it within that 45 to 50 minute range. And I know that's a lot. And thanks for sticking with me. And I hope there's something here that you feel like you want to try or scope out. And I'll see you next week, everybody. Have a good weekend.